You know, every single time you log onto your computer, send an email, or even just scroll through your phone, you're actually stepping onto a battlefield, an invisible one. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this wild world of cybersecurity. It's this nonstop game of attack and defense that's happening all around us, all the time.
Okay, let's start with a number that just, wow. It really paints a picture of how busy this battlefield is. In just the first 3 months of 2022, there were over 1 million reported phishing attempts. A million. Just think about that for a second. That's more than 10,000 times a day. Someone is trying to trick a person just like you or me. This isn't some far-off threat, right? It's a constant flood hitting our inboxes.
So, to really get our heads around the big picture, we've got to start right there, on the front lines. And for most of us, that front line is something we check, well, constantly our email. All right, so phishing. At its core, it's all about playing mind games. The attackers pretend to be someone you trust, maybe your bank, a delivery company, or even your boss. They try to create this sense of panic, Your account is locked, or, hey, urgent invoice attached. The whole goal is to get you to act before you think, to get you to click that link and hand over your login details without even realizing what you've done. But here's the thing, these attacks can get way more sophisticated. Standard phishing, that's like casting a giant net in the ocean, just hoping you catch something. But spear phishing? Whoa, that's like using a spear. It's a precision strike. An attacker will actually research a specific person, say a CEO, and then they'll craft this super personal email that looks totally legit. And that makes it so much more dangerous and a whole lot harder to spot. Okay, so phishing targets us as individuals. But some attacks are so huge, they literally change the entire game. So now we're going to zoom out and look at some of the major cyber attacks that were such a big deal they forced the entire world to completely rethink digital security. And when you look at this timeline, you see this kind of chilling evolution, right? We start back in the late 80s with these early worms. They were mostly about causing a bit of chaos, maybe proving a point. But you fast forward to the modern era, and you've got attacks like WannaCry and SolarWinds. I mean, these are sophisticated operations with absolutely devastating real-world consequences on a global scale. And the impact here, it's not just digital. It's very physical and very economic. Let's take WannaCry. It didn't just lock up computer files. It shut down hospitals, forcing them to turn away patients. It brought factories to a dead stop. The total estimated damage was, get this, $4 billion, with a B. This was a real turning point, where a threat that started on a computer screen caused a tangible, real-world disaster. That staggering cost brings us to one of the most clever and honestly one of the most dangerous types of attacks we've ever seen, the supply chain attack. It raises a huge question. How in the world can attackers infect thousands of organizations, we're talking big companies, government agencies, by hitting just one target? Well, the SolarWinds incident is the perfect and frankly terrifying example. Instead of going after thousands of different well-defended targets one by one, the attackers were smarter. They went after their software provider, a company called SolarWinds. They sneakily injected malicious code into a totally normal software update, and then they just waited. SolarWinds, a company everyone trusted, unknowingly sent this digital Trojan horse out to all of its customers. The attackers didn't just break through a firewall, they weaponized trust itself. So, of course, with attacks getting more and more intense, the defenses had to get better too. This constant escalation forced a whole new wave of defensive tools. So let's talk about the shields and the walls our digital world has built to fight back. Okay, the most basic, fundamental defense is the firewall. And the name is perfect. Just like a physical firewall in a building is designed to stop a fire from spreading from one room to the next, a digital firewall sits at the very edge of a network. It's basically a bouncer. It checks all the data coming in and out, and if anything looks shady, it gets blocked. It is that essential first line of defense. But what about when you're not behind that wall? What about when you're out on the public internet, say at a coffee shop? Well, that's where a VPN comes in. What it does is create this secure, encrypted tunnel just for your data to travel through. You can think of it like your own private armored car on the information superhighway. If anyone tries to peek inside, all they see is scrambled, unreadable nonsense. But look, these basic defenses, firewalls and VPNs, they're just the beginning. Today, cybersecurity has gone way beyond just building simple walls. It's become this incredibly sophisticated, strategic chess game between professional attackers and professional defenders. So on one side of this chessboard, you have what are called advanced persistent threats, or APTs. And let me tell you, this is not the stereotypical hacker in a basement you see in the movies. No way. APTs are well-funded, super organized groups. Sometimes they're even backed by entire nations. And they play the long game. They are patient, they are stealthy, and they go after the big fish, high-value organizations, all for espionage or a massive payday. So that raises this really fascinating question, right? If you're up against an enemy like that, a stealthy, patient enemy who might already be inside your network, how do you even begin to fight back? Well, the answer is pretty brilliant and completely counterintuitive. You set a trap for them. And that trap has a great name, a honeypot. Just like a jar of honey attracts flies, a honeypot is a decoy system. It's designed to look like a really valuable, totally legitimate part of the network. But it's a fake, and it's being watched very, very closely. When the attackers take the bait and go for the honeypot, the defenders can watch their every single move. They can study their tools, their techniques, all without risking any of the real stuff. It's this incredibly clever way to turn the attacker's own tactics against them. This constant cat and mouse game, this back and forth, has led to a revolutionary shift in the entire philosophy of security. The old way of thinking, build a strong wall around your stuff and then just trust everyone inside, that's broken. It doesn't work anymore. The new mindset is far, far more skeptical. This new way of thinking is called zero trust, and it is a radical idea. This is not a piece of software you can just go out and buy. It's a complete change in strategy. It all starts with one pretty stark assumption. The bad guys are already inside your network, and because of that, no one and nothing gets a free pass. Every single user, every device, every connection has to be constantly verified, again and again and again. And that right there is the core principle of today's invisible battlefield. Trust no one, verify everyone. Constant vigilance really is the price of security. But it does leave us with this lingering, really tough question, doesn't it? In a world that's more connected than ever before, is it even possible to verify everything all the time? That's the challenge that's going to define the future of this invisible war.